Do the transplanted hairs last forever? What is the life of transplanted hairs? When do you start seeing the results of hair transplant, and when do you see the complete results of your hair transplant procedures? In this video, we are going to discuss these important points about your hair transplant. I am Dr. Satya Saraswat, a gold medalist plastic surgeon in the field of hair transplants since 2006 and been performing independently hair transplants and giving hair loss treatment for last 17 years, and also training doctors in the field of hair transplants since 2016 and have trained almost 100 hair transplant surgeons till now. If you want to see such useful, informative videos, we request you to please subscribe to our Saraswat Hospital YouTube channel. So coming to the first question or the query which comes in the mind of patients or people who are seeking out hair transplant, do they last forever? So let's discuss this very important point. Hairs are taken out from the back from an area known as safe donor area. So friends, this is not a clear-cut demarcated area anywhere. It's an area where the hairs are thicker as compared to the nearby area. So in general, the donor side on the lower side is on the external occipital protuberance, which is a bony prominence on the lower side, and the top side where the hairs suddenly start thinning out. So this wide zone, which is generally 5.5 or 6 centimeter or sometimes lesser than that, that's the width of the donor area, and it starts from the anterior border of the ear and goes towards the opposite side. So it's almost a rectangular area, slightly tapering towards the ears. So this area has hairs which have very less or no numbers of receptors for 5-DHT. So these receptors, when they are absent in these hairs or present to a very low extent, gives them a strong quality. These hairs are stronger. If you feel your donor side hairs and the area at which you're losing out your hair, especially in the front or the mid scalp or the crown, you will feel that these are more thicker and spiky than these hairs which are more softer and silkier. So these hairs have lesser number or no receptors for 5-DHT. So the same quality is transferred from the donor side to the recipient side. So what's the life of these hairs? It is same as the life and the quality of the donor hairs. There is currently no scientific way of measuring the exact like this is going to last for till you are 50 years, 55, 60, 70. There is no scientific way of measuring that. But based on the facts, if the grafts are taken out from the safe donor area, they do last for a very long time. But how much? There is no way of knowing that. In fact, it was decided in one of the World Congress that we should not say that this is a permanent procedure. Apart from this, there are a lot of aging changes which happen to the hairs at the donor side. So suppose you are 20 years, when you were 20, 25 years, say 5 or 10 years prior to now, the current period, you would have noticed that your hairs were thicker 5 or 10 years back rather than what they are now. So some aging changes, some thinning does happen in the donor side also. So based on that, we know that in future also, these hairs can keep on getting thinner over a period of time. So to say that they are permanent is scientifically, I would say that this is not exactly true. There are some medical conditions, some aging changes and other things like stress which can affect the transplanted hairs also. Do like the video if you are liking the content till now. So now let us discuss the timelines after your hair transplant. How does the growth start? So initially 7 to 10 days is a sort of a critical period where you should avoid any trauma. Just keep on washing your hairs on the daily basis or sometimes even more than that as per the instructions provided to you by your clinic. After 10 to 12 days, the transplanted hairs, they start falling off. They shed off, also known as shock loss. The hairs keep on falling and this shedding phase continues for a period of around 3 months post-transplant. So between 10 to 30 days is the shedding period. Initial 10 days is the time when you should be taking more and more care of your transplanted hairs. You should be gentle. They should not hit anywhere. You should avoid strenuous exercises. Initially 3 to 5 days, you should avoid wearing helmet or tight clothes which you have to take out from your above the head like a tight t-shirt. So these are the things which can cause damage. Avoid exercise as we have discussed because this can cause some problem to the transplanted hairs. Be more gentle, be more caring and careful towards your transplanted hairs for initial 10 days to 12 days and keep on following the shampooing schedule which has been provided to your clinic. If you have undergone a hair transplant and you have a specific question or a query about how to take care of your transplanted hairs, we would request you to comment in the comment section below. Then as we have discussed, till the 3 months is the shedding phase and we see a lot of patients who come at around around 1.5 months or 2 months, or communicate to us on WhatsApp channel that the hairs have all fallen off. So we always tell them in advance, but we see that a lot of patients do panic about this aspect. They are worried that whether the roots have fallen off, because they can sometimes see a curved structure or a white structure at the base of the hairs which they consider to be the root. So this is not true. The hairs are firmly in place. If you lose a root, sometimes due to trauma, there will be some associated bleeding, a spot of it, or even sometimes more than that. This phase between 10 to 12 days to 3 months, and especially in the second half of this, that is like 1.5 to 3 months, is also known as ugly duckling phase. This has been coined, this term, by some people. In this phase, it almost looks like slightly red, slightly elevated, some bumps are there, and hairs are almost gone. You can hardly see 10-15% or 20% of the transplanted hairs. Rest, all of them have fallen off. So this is absolutely same. We have a video which you can watch in the link given above to know the growth, how the growth happens. It's a small video about the way the growth happens after the hair transplant. Then after 3 months, the growth starts mostly for almost all the patients. Every month you see 10 to 15% hairs coming out. These hairs are initially soft and silky, and not all the hairs transplanted will come out at once. It is a gradual phenomena, and the hairs, as they keep on coming into the growing phase, you see a lot of hairs coming out. When you rub your tip of the fingers on the transplanted area, you can feel some spikes, sort of a thorny spikes you can feel, and that means that the hairs are coming out. In this period, you have to keep on following the instructions given by the clinic. You have to keep on taking the medical treatment which has been prescribed to you. Generally, the clinics, they prescribe minoxidil and finasteride. They give you a diet chart. Sometimes supportive medicines such as multivitamins are also given. Therapies like PRP and low-level laser therapy are also provided to the hair transplant surgeon, although they are not mandatory. The hair transplant results actually do not depend on this therapy, but it is a supportive method which will boost the growth and will make the hairs come into the growing phase at the earliest. So keep on following the schedule and the treatment which has been provided, and in general you see the final results of hair transplant at around 12 months. The maximum period at which you can see the results varies from 9 months to 15 months for FUE, and for FUT, because it's a non-specific procedure, all the hairs are taken out. So the hairs which are in the catagen and telogen phase, they can come out even later, and final results in FUT procedure you can see at around 18 months. So these are the timelines you have to know about how your transplanted hairs are going to go up. This is the growth pattern. If you want to call us about your hair transplant problem, you want to connect with us about your particular hair problem, you can call us at the numbers given here, or even you can WhatsApp us your pictures from the front, top, back and sides, showing your pictures clearly on the WhatsApp number given here, and we will try to reach out to you and will provide to you your customized hair transplant solution or your hair loss solution. Another very, very important point, how to maintain the growth of the transplanted hair. So suppose you have seen the final growth, now what to do? Should we stop the medicines or should we keep on taking them? So our recommendation is that you keep on taking the medical treatment like minoxidil and finasteride, although your clinic or your doctor can guide you about this, but what we feel is that you can go to the maintenance dose. So from twice a day minoxidil you can shift to once a day. From taking daily finasteride you can go up to alternate day or even 2 or 3 times a week. Then just keep on taking this, because there have been studies now which have shown a long data, and there was a study from Japan which showed that if you have got a transplant done, they followed their patients who were taking the treatment diligently for 20 years and the other group was not taking the treatment. So they found out that the patients who were taking their medical treatment regularly, they had minimum or very less progression of their hair loss, and the transplanted hairs are also very, very healthy for a very long time as compared to the others who skipped out, stopped taking the medical treatment. This is our observation also. If you keep on taking the medical treatment, now we have patients who are like 17-18 years in follow-up and they still have those hairs maintained, especially if they are taking the medical treatment. If you find this video useful, if this has solved some of your queries which were going in your mind, we request you to share this video with your friends, colleagues and your family members. If you want to see the results of one of our hair transplant patient, you can click the video on the left, and if you want to know the cost of hair transplant, the factors which decide the cost, you can click the video on the right.